Hello and welcome to One India News. I am Akash, and as we all know, today is a very sad day for all Indians because unfortunately, CDS General Bipin Rawat, who passed away on Wednesday after the helicopter crash that happened in Tamil Nadu, and all the 13 out of 14 people that were on board that flight, that helicopter, they were not able to survive. There is currently just one survivor, Group Captain Vikas Singh, who is currently, undergoing medical treatment. Now he has been flown to Bangalore from Tamil Nadu for much more better services to be given to him, health solutions for him. Still haven't got any update on that. But yeah, but today, Brigadier LS Little, he was cremated today in the morning, and then in the afternoon today, General Bipin Rawat was given a final farewell with full military honor, and of course his wife was also cremated today. Joining me today now are Vicky Nanajappa, senior correspondent, and with him Abhinav Pandya. He is a man with an astute, if I must say, eye towards internal security of India, and we are privileged to have him today on this day, and to talk to him about the bigger question now that I'm going to discuss with you two gentlemen today is who is going to be the next CDC now, because it's a big void. Vicky, we have been discussing this for the past few days from the day the incident has happened. First of all, I'll want to go to you, Vicky, and ask you that how do you see now this position that has been vacated? How will it be filled, and what would the criteria that the government will be looking at?
Number one, I think the government will not waste any time in appointing a new CDS. One, okay, that's number one. Cabinet Committee on Security is scheduled to meet next week. So how it happens is then after that, they are planning on forming a small team of a panel of generals first, and they could make a recommendation before which it will go to the Raksha Mantri. And once approved there, it will go before the Appointments Committee, and that's when the name will come up. It will not get delayed more than a week because it's a very critical juncture now. There's a lot of pending work which is remaining. Okay, and with so much of chaos on both the borders out there, I think this itself has kind of shaken us up a little bit. So you wouldn't want that void to continue for so long. So that's why the appointment will happen soon. And Abhinavji will speak more about the military theatre command later, and then you'll realize why it is so important. I mean, why it was such a big loss to lose General Rawat, and why it is very important now to fill in that space.
Abhinavji, I just want to get your thoughts about this. That the situation that has happened in the past 3 days. How do you witness this whole scenario that has happened?
Namaskar, Jai Hind and Vande Mataram. Let me begin with my prayers for the departed soul, General Rawat and Madhulika ma'am, and the rest of the team members, rest of the people who died in that chopper crash. Okay. General Rawat was a great soldier. He soldiered and soldiered on. Great commander, leader, and a soldier diplomat. He can be credited with establishing a new tradition in India, which we see in the form of this position of Chief of Defence Staff. Okay. So indeed, it's a very sad day. We are all in a moment of shock, because of this development. But certainly, we need to look at this development from various strategic and tactical points of view. There are various questions which need to be investigated: why it happened, how it happened, what are the other factors, the global geopolitical factors? Where do we stand to gain or lose from this? Answering your first question, I'll be coming to the other questions later. That who will be the next candidate? Certainly, government cannot afford to waste time, because this is a time where this whole institution of CDS is being established, and General Rawat was playing a pioneering role in this. And when we talk about CDS, it's not just a rank or a post. It's something which brings a new system, a new tradition, or a new institution in India's military discourse, in India's war discourse, or in India's, I would say, no, I mean, military strategy also. Chief of Defense Staff, like he is the person who heads all the three armed forces. Prior to this, we didn't have a system like this. Okay, especially in the new age warfare, mostly you need a very strong level of synergy and cooperation, coordination between the three wings of the armed forces: air, water, and land forces. Okay? So this is the position which is basically some kind of a nodal authority, a focal authority, which coordinates and which is above all. Okay. General Rawat was doing that groundwork. So certainly, I mean, his role can be easily understood given the work and the nature of the work, and especially given the most, I would say, sensitive border situation on the western front and on the eastern front. Okay. So government is considering different people, but yes, the kind of work which he has started, General Rawat, okay, it's still halfway and a lot needs to be done. So they'll be looking for the most appropriate candidate. And I mean, personally, I feel that they would want to find a candidate who commands respect and who commands authority, who is regarded as a person, like, I mean, who is valued and respected by all three wings of Indian armed forces, Indian security forces. Okay. So that will be the most important criteria. And then secondly, a person who is also a great commander and a leader, because tomorrow, if any confrontation becomes possible in the, like, maybe next year, then CDS will not just be doing some kind of a paperwork or bureaucratic work. He will also be commanding. He will also be a leader, giving strategic and tactical policy guidelines and directions. Third criteria would be to find someone who also has a very strong diplomatic eye, because as we can see, when General Rawat became CDS after that, I mean, since that, a lot has been happening on the military front. We are signing defense agreements, pacts with Russia. We are, over the last 4 or 5 years, we have signed, various logistical and defense limo and all those other pacts with the US and the other forces. So the person who is, in this position, the CDS, okay, he has to be active not just on the military front, but also on the diplomatic front, dealing with the various international stakeholders and all. So that will also be a very important criteria. And thirdly, someone who is trusted and someone who is respected by the people sitting at the top of the government. I mean, no doubt, General Rawat was Prime Minister Modi's very highly trusted man, and I mean, he was also a very trusted man of NSA also. So these things will be considered, and I mean, I see that yes, it is indeed very important to find a new replacement. Exactly, who will be? Yeah. Who will be the person? It's difficult to say, and I'm not getting into the conjectures because different names are coming up. Okay, hence no one is an insider like among us. I'm not an insider, so it'll be difficult to precisely point out. I mean, who will be considered? But yes, the factors which I outlined recently, I mean, they will be the main things which will be kept in mind while finding an appropriate candidate.
Absolutely, very well put, Abhinavji, over there. Because I think yesterday also, when me and Vicky were having this conversation about General Bipin Rawat, so we were having this discussion, and we said this thing yesterday also, that he shares a very good reputation with the Prime Minister, which is very important, because being the NSA, yes, it is very important to have a good diplomatic, view with the Prime Minister, with the head, with all the heads. And of course, as you all very well pointed out, that geopolitical, having a geopolitical connection is very important for such a post. And we could see that after his passing away, people all the way from Russia, from Israel to United States, everybody condoned and paid the tributes of the passing away of the CDS. So that shows that General Bipin Rawat was not just the man, was not, as we say, that he was just not a diplomatic man, he was just not an administrational head, but he was spearheading, the Indian military into modernization, and he was opening different avenues.
Yes.
But Vicky, this also takes me to another question that Abhinav also very, aptly put out, that we cannot pinpoint on a single name as of now. that, as you all pointed out, that government will go into the meeting. The Security Council meeting will happen next week. They will sit down, and of course, according to you, a group of generals will be there who will, the committee might be, set it up, and in terms of getting the CTC as soon as possible. But the possibility of, as Abhinav ji also said, that coming to a consensus of a name is very difficult at this point of time. Do you feel that, this actually opens up a bigger question amongst, about everything? Like, why can't we have more, generals like Bipin Rawat, who could, easily command a good command over all the three wings of the armed forces?
See, among the many, many unfortunate things in the passing away of General Rawat, there was also one more thing. He did not get a time to, groom a kind of a successor, basically, which ideally he would have started doing in the last year of his tenure. Okay, that is one thing. He could have handpicked someone, he would know, what are the challenges out here and things. So that is a real unfortunate thing. But here, plain hindsight, everyone is saying, General Narwane is the front runner for it. One, okay. Because the Shedkar committee says that you have to pick from one of the three, services, one. So what happens is, and it's a very plain analysis, not getting into a lot of details. Why he's, being pitched as a front runner now is, one is that, he's about to retire in April. That is one. He's about to retire in April. So that's not a very long time, this one away. They can, rope him as CDS, and the rules say that, once you become the CDS, your superannuation age automatically becomes 65. And another reason why, he's been spoken about so much is because currently the Indian Army is the one which has got all the work. They are the ones, holding the border there. So is he more accustomed to, handling a situation, considering there is a crisis? I can understand there was no crisis on any of the border, but because China is a relative, very new crisis for us. I mean, we don't, sometimes you can't figure out which way it is going at all. So, and that is where the Indian Army's got a lot of work out there. And that is why his name keeps cropping up. What do you have to say on
that? Thank you, Vicky. I would just like to add one more criteria to the list, which I mentioned in my previous section, that they'll also be looking for a person who shares, that kind of the vision of General Rawat, and also who has the intellectual understanding, and the knowledge of the things which he was doing. Very new things like establishing a theater command, space command, maritime command, gray zone warfare, information warfare, fifth generation warfare. Indian Army is experimenting, and Indian Army is getting into these new different domains of warfare. And all this was happening under the leadership of General Rawat. So we will need someone who, first of all, shares that vision, who has the understanding, interest, inclination, and will to carry forward that vision. Someone with a very traditional bent of mind, will not be a very perfect match. And what was your second question? Yeah.
So the second question was like, we were talking about in terms of like, so that was the first question, but the second question is like, how do now this big void that has been created? So do you feel that, we still lack these kind of a person like General Bipin Rawat with his kind of a caliber, with his sort of a command, and the sense of presence of great mind, and the futuristic goals that he has put for the military? I don't think so anybody else would have been able to do that, but he was not able to groom anybody, as Vicky very well pointed out, that this happened all of a sudden. Nobody was expecting this. It was just a routine travel for the CDS. So do you think that now there would be more parameters in terms of, there would be more this kind of a grooming of somebody who could if this kind of a thing happens, God forbid, we don't want to have these kind of things have to happen again, but if God forbid these kind of things, if some similar thing happened down in the future, we have a backup plan for this?
Yeah, to a great extent, I would certainly agree with you. General Rawat had too much on his hands. Frankly speaking, certainly we can all, we all feel that, the successor could not be groomed. But then he had too much on his hands. Initially when this post was created, there was a lot of resistance. Internally. I mean, people hardly talk about it, but from the civil bureaucracy, which always felt that creation of this position of CDS would be a great, some kind of the erosion of the authority of the IS people, who are mostly serving as secretaries and joint secretaries in the Ministry of Defense. So there was a resistance from this civil bureaucracy. And secondly, again, there were questions and issues of coordination between the three wings of the armed forces: air wing, naval wing, and the army wing. Okay. So there were frictions, there were initial issues of non-cooperative or partly indifferent attitude. So he had to deal with many of these things. By the time he could iron out these issues and create a space for him with his unique style of leadership, and create a degree of acceptability and a welcoming attitude, I mean, this unfortunate incident happened. But yes, I would say that, we certainly need generals with I would say, much, I would say, better, unique vision and the commanding authority. And, this is a larger problem, actually. If you see, after the independence era, I mean, we followed that British system of, Indian armed forces tradition and all. So for a very long time, we had generals who were nurtured and who were trained during the British era. So they had a very different mindset and a different training in terms of confidence, decision making, training, and all. But over the last, I would say, maybe 30 years, after the 1971 war, maybe, our army has been, I wouldn't say suppressed, but it has been some kind of subjugated by the political and the civil bureaucratic leadership to a great extent. I mean, which is, I'm not saying that, in a democratic country, we should have like army reigning supreme. It's perfectly fine for the civil bureaucracy and, the political leadership to has the final sway. But then, I mean, it should not impact the morale and the confidence of the people serving in the armed forces. When it comes to promotions or giving them higher positions, the merit has to be the first criteria. And secondly, they should be allowed to have autonomy and, their own, their decision making capability should be enhanced and it should be respected. Because someone who doesn't have the audacity, doesn't have the courage to stand for his own troops and just say a clear no to the political master or a bureaucrat, he cannot be a good general. He cannot lead your people in the army. General Rawat, he was one of those soldiers, who could, take your army to the final victory, and people and our adversaries could actually see that. I see a lot of similarity. I mean, though it sounds a little vague, but between his personality and Sam Manekshaw's personality. So certainly for any of the adversary who is planning some kind of a major sabotage against India, be it the internal security or the external security, even if there's a conventional war, someone like General Rawat would be a major threat. I mean, it's not a question of conspiracy theory, ideology, but it's pure tactics and strategy. I mean, you create a big problem and a vacuum in the military leadership. That is your half battle already won.
Absolutely, very true. And also, that actually very interestingly put to my very next question that was about to ask you both, gentlemen. That now that this kind of a situation has happened, do you think there would be a special security protocol, especially for the post of CDC while he's traveling? Vicky, you go first.
I guess security protocol, security. Okay, yeah, sure. Please, Vicky. Yes.
No, you go on.
Yeah, please, Abhinav, you can go. Please go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure security protocols are already in place. I mean, CDS is, I mean, it's no joke. Like, it's a VVIP position, very high profile position. And, I'm sure, they must be having a team which is responsible for verifying the technicals of the chopper before it flies, and a proper, the group of people who are responsible for the security. I mean, we are a very systematic institution in terms of security matters, be it for politicians, for senior bureaucrats, or for the senior army people. So, I mean, I don't really believe that there was, security was not taken care of properly. Okay. But yes, the way this has happened, it raises many fears and doubts in lay minds. Since I'm not an insider, so I wouldn't know, I wouldn't comment anything before the investigation report comes. But there are certain factors, which are quite disturbing. First of all, this this chopper is a very strong machine, like, it's a double rotor machine and very strong machine, not generally prone to such accidents like you have it in the case of MiG-22s, which is referred to as a flying coffin. And then all these things like the technicals are verified first, and the weather is like, the weather movement and the weather forecasting, they are also taken into consideration before the movement of such a big VVIP. You have a very trained man flying this chopper, and after that, if this incident happens, I mean, it's very natural to have your fears and doubts at the right place. Yeah,
absolutely. Vicky, you go.
No, this one, see, prima facie on the face, I mean, prima facie, if you look at it now, I mean, with the absence of an investigation report, a final report, it looks like there were some weather-related issues. But, just before the show, Abhinavji and I were sitting and discussing, saying that, in Jammu Kashmir, if there's bad weather, it means it's a plain no that you're not going to fly. So, you need to look into that aspect also, because I know that place, the fog is terrible out there. You can hit blind spots and all that. But then again, that question arises that if you know all that, how did the chopper still fly out there? So certain protocols that has to be looked into. This is not going to be a probe only about a technical failure or this one. A lot of things are going to be looked into. If they lost contact at around 12:08 or 12:10, okay, and so lot of questions, and sometimes the public also raises a lot of questions. How come CDS chopper, top man in the country, and those kind of things. This probe is going to be extremely important, which Air Force has said, kindly do not speculate until we come out with the probe. The probe report. It has to be expeditious. It is going to be this one, and it has to be the benchmark for all protocols in future for such high profile people flying. Because immediate thing what happened was when the incident happened, and immediately the air chief was flown into Kunur at that time, and I saw on Twitter 3-4 people saying don't fly him in also now. Okay, so that was the kind of panic which was there in the people with the people. So this probe report is whoever is at fault, whatever it is has to be kind of a solid this one rule book for all future protocols in future, future protocols where it comes to VVIP flying.
Absolutely, very true. And now it basically brings me to the last question of the evening. Is like, how do you view now India's relationship with Pakistan and China? How would they evolve in terms of with a strong CDS now? Because we can say that NSA, who is like administrative to the Prime Minister, who is doing his job pretty much, I think, I must say. And on the behalf of the army, the CDS was there. But now with this void, how do you think that the dynamics with Pakistan and China, mainly China now, because Pakistan is one enemy that India knows, they know how do they work. But China is coming out to be a new perspective as a threat to India with situations happening in Ladakh, with Galwan, and of course with our borders in the northeast. Also, so how do you see that? How would the dynamics with China and especially with China and Pakistan will change now?
It's a little bit, it's a shake-up for us. I mean, there's no doubt. As General Rawat would always say, we are fighting a 2.5 front war, which also, it's not only on the borders. He meant cyber warfare at that time. Pakistan, China, disinformation campaign, creating ruckus out here, all this. So we were going ahead, and now, we are taken a step back because of this horrible tragedy. It's, even as I speak to you now, I can't, whatever Abhinavji says, there are too many things to fill. And he fit the bill everywhere, actually. That's one thing. So it's not like, we are going to give up that fight or anything. We will continue to fight. We will, this one, defend our territorial integrity. That is one thing is there. We will this one defend it. There's no doubt. But yeah, a big setback, yes. But we need to come over and pull back this one. It's not like, they're going to try something excess at the moment or nothing of that sort. There's nothing to worry on that front. Where we are on the back foot at the moment, I would say, is that in terms of morale now, in terms of morale, we had, something sorted out now and into the future. But then again, a lot depends on the next CDS who's going to come. And his first job would be to boost the morale of all the three forces. So that's how I see it.
Abhinavji, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I feel that until recently, maybe before the Doklam, I would say, because Doklam had already indicated significantly enough that China is a new threat, though it took us a little more time to realize that. Before that, a major threat was this Pakistan-sponsored terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, and perhaps in some other states also, if how that was a mix of a hybrid internal-external security threat, okay, and some issues on LOC, and some local terrorist groups financed and sponsored by Pakistan and all. But with this, with the emergence of China and this whole thing, this Belt and Road and all, a few dynamics have changed in this entire region. I guess now it's what the threat which we are facing. It's a joint China and Pakistan, war effort against India, and this whole thing it's of a twin front warfare. So this threat of conventional war, a proper confrontation, has come up again. I'm not saying that terrorism is not a challenge. It is indeed a challenge. It's going to be a challenge, but it will be diversified. It will be scattered. And then because of the Indian Army's strong action, thanks to General Rawat, because of its determined effort, there is a very strong degree of fatigue in Jammu and Kashmir, especially among the Islamist militants sponsored by Pakistan. Now, it's not about even the state police is taking them on in a very strong manner, and giving them a befitting reply. So, besides that, China feels that this continuous sponsoring of terror actors by Pakistan may be a little some kind of something which can bring some unpopularity or bad publicity against China. So they would also pressurize Pakistan to keep these things at back burner. The terror part, okay, continue with that, but not come openly in the limelight, but majorly focus on this twin front warfare kind of a thing, confrontational thing. So that's again a challenge. And within that context, I must say this whole concept of theater command was very important. And General Rawat was creating some very new domains. Like, he was very proactive on creating a very advanced rocket force. China has that, they if anything happens in this sector, in Ladakh sector, or the most likely they are going to deploy their rocket force, or they will use their drones. There will be swarm drones. They'll be swarming on the Indian tanks and all. So General Rawat was thinking along those lines, and he was trying to create that synergy through theater command between the three wings of the armed forces. If he had remained alive, we would have had our theater command by April 2022 next year. Okay. So that's something which plays a very crucial role in a proper conventional war. So there, certainly, it's indeed a setback for us. But yes, we're not in the position to be callous or to be demoralized. It has demoralized us, but we don't have a choice. China and Pakistan, they are certainly going to be a major threat, okay? And we have to give a big fight to them. General Rawat had made it clear on various occasions, saying that no, we have the capability to fight twin front warfare. That so these threats are going to increase, and I would say we have to boost our efforts. We have to enhance our preparation levels, with an all-round revolutionary approach.
Absolutely, very true.
Having said that, once again, I would like to emphasize that keep in mind that the terror threat is not going to come down. Terror threat is now in an autopilot mode. Certainly Pakistan sponsorship is there, but then because of the Afghanistan Taliban's victory and an overall radicalization of the Muslim community, let me be very straightforward and I would say blunt in this. Radicalization of the Muslim community, youth especially across the globe. This terror problem will acquire some kind of a lone wolf terrorism format, and it will be an autopilot mode. it will be a big, it will go further down to the problem of bad law and order. And, I mean, it will be more dispersed and decentralized. So it will continue to stay. But yes, the main problem will be the Chinese, the border incursions, advanced cyber operations, advanced high level of espionage operations, those things.
Absolutely.
And the Afghanistan situation evolving, that is also something we need to watch out for, because, we are not clearly won't go into war with the Taliban, but then that becomes a launch pad. Now, that is one thing, then, Pakistan, has that deniability factor. Nahi idhar se nahi aaya, na udhar se aaya, that kind of thing. So that launch pad happening. And yes, this one, this one, initial impressions of yesterday is that Rohini Court blast. We are suspecting it was a lone wolf which had happened. Online radicalization, he was trying to, do a dry run or something. And this time Delhi police can't take it seriously because the blast back in, I think, 2011 it was. Same thing, small one in Delhi, this one, no injuries. Then exactly 3-4 months later, one big blast, 15 people died. So, these are the evolving threats out here. So, this is what this one. But we can't forget the Taliban situation out there. That is also, that is
absolutely very true, very true. But out and out from today's discussion, I feel that the next CDC has very, very big shoes to fill in. Not just big, but very big shoes to fill in. And of course, as Abhinavji and Vicky, very aptly pointed out, that it is very important for India to keep their morals up, for the armed forces to keep their morals up, because as Vicky very well said, that it's a war that we are fighting, and it is not going to be easy for India. But yes, let's hope for the best, and we'll definitely meet once again, Abhinavji and Vicky, once the new CDC is announced by the new administration, and we'll see that how well the things in the future will look at. Well, thank you very much, Abhinavji. Thank you very much, Vicky, for joining in and being the part of the discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Subscribe to One India channel and never miss an update.